welcome back to the Messed Up Movies Podcast, the podcast that celebrates movies and filmmakers that embrace the insane, the outrageous, the unhinged, the off-kilter, and the all-around kind of messed up fun you can't take your eyes off of. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Griffey, joined as always by my friend, co-host, and teenager who likes to get you on film doing stuff.
Alex Dandino. Although I'm not a teenager, but all right. But Griff, let me ask you
But you're
this.
like, when you were a teenager, you were just flip phone diming evidence on people? Is that what you were?
No, I had the Nokia brick. I didn't have I never had a flip phone. It wasn't my thing. I'll tell you what I do have. A question for you. Have you ever jumped into a box of hot garbage juice and just drenched yourself?
No, when I hit those moments, I just say, kill me, life, if you got the gumption.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if you ever feel inclined, we've got one for you. It's the Patreon. Messed Up Movies Podcast Patreon.
This weird sales pitch you've been trying lately, but the idea that we've hit the point, we're like, do you want to be in a box of hot garbage? That's the Messed Up Movies Podcast Patreon page.
It's a bold choice. Take that.
It's a bold choice, yeah.
Anyways, guys, for $1 a month, you can jump in with us in the garbage juice. We've got all kinds of fun exclusives. The Black Mirror podcast. Of course, we have the Tales from the Griff. We have our entire back catalog, including exclusives that you may not have heard while we were still film alchemisting. Guys, there's a lot of fun stuff over there. And it's only $1 a month. Or $5, or $3, whatever you want. I don't care. Give us money.
Guys, come join the community. It's the best way to help the show, the best way to support the show. You can also, for free, subscribe to the Misfit Parade YouTube, the Misfit Parade newsletter at misfitparade.com. There's lots of ways you can help out the cause here. You can just send a reel, a TikTok, a short, an episode to a movie-loving friend. We will take it from there. We're on all the socials, all that kind of stuff. 5-star ratings and reviews. All the good stuff. All right. It's summer, beaches. It's hot. We're on vacation. We might be near some aquatic nonsense, right? We might be out getting our abs glistening with waters.
Sure.
Like
we're
we
out
are
on vacay.
Yeah, which we are in 2008's Eden Lake. Here's the synopsis. When a couple goes to a remote lake for a romantic getaway, their quiet weekend is shattered by an aggressive group of kids. Rowdiness quickly turns to rage as the teens terrorize them, and a weekend outing becomes a battle for survival. This movie, to me, is kind of an interesting companion piece to The Hills Have Eyes. So they're like, what if we did that, but with a little classic British stank on it? Yeah, this is Lord of the Flies. This is the horror that we talked about a lot in The Hills Have Eyes. It is exactly the same as Lord of the Flies. It is exactly the same. When you are away from society and you must redecide the rules and what matters, this is what happens. And it's like what I was telling my son, because he kept being like, why don't they call the cops? Why don't they do this? And I was like, how long do you think it would take the cops to find them? What do you think those teenagers could do to you by the time the cops show up? When you go out this far, you have to really decide what business you're willing to stand on and what's maybe just maybe we'll just let this one slide. Maybe not worth the fight, right? Maybe don't be the defender for all of society's norms when you're out in the fucking middle of nowhere. I don't know. It's an interesting setup, I think, but this movie, it starts with this kind of very familial loss of the structures and safeties of society horror, and this one gets brutal by the end. So, Alex, had you seen Eden Lake, and what were your opening thoughts?
I had not seen Eden Lake. There's not a lot of moral ambiguity here. Everybody just kind of sucks in their own special way. I think this is why I don't really think the Lord of the Flies comparison pulls, because Lord of the Flies, those kids are stranded on a remote island. Yes, they are away from society. As we see on the map of Eden Lake, we're not away from society. We're just like adjacent to it. So there's really absolutely no reason for
anyone. We are far away from anyone that will help these people. We're out in the sticks.
They were able to drive to she was able to end the movie by driving to a house. So we're not that far away.
Right. not run to a house with your fucking foot mangled, right? They are, 30, 40 minutes from anyone who could even possibly help them? That is far enough to where it can feel like you have no fucking hope. She runs this entire fucking movie and essentially gets nowhere, right?
I think that, so for me, again, the movie is interesting enough. Like, I think just the whole time you're just sort of sitting there bewildered. I looked up because I didn't realize this is written and directed by James Watkins.
Mm-hmm.
I looked it up. I like to look up like what else these guys have done. He's done a lot of, like, he did The Woman in Black and then Speak No Evil, the remake. He also directed that episode of Black Mirror, Shut Up and Dance, which is, I think, probably one of my least favorite as well, because it tried to get us to root for
I
a
don't
pedo.
think that's a very good episode, but amongst fans, it is one of the most highly regarded episodes of Black Mirror.
Which is insane, I think, because, again, you're spending too much time in an episode of television rooting for a pedo.
Do you feel bad? And they tried. It's like the less clever White Bear, right? We've done all this on our Misfit Mirror miniseries.
To that point, though, the problem I have with Eden Lake, not that it's bad, by the way, it's like really good performances, like fascinating. There's some interesting psychology. However, the sort of just like layering on top and like the lead up and everything like that, there's just no. I don't know how to describe this. Like, there's just something about it that doesn't make sense. There's one piece of the story that doesn't click. There's one piece of the story that's not clicking, and that piece, because it doesn't click, like, the whole thing is just sort of it's sort of like a door that's ajar. And you're like, why isn't this closing all the way? And that's sort of like my problem with Eden Lake.
See,
I don't know.
I don't see that. I think this is an exceptionally made movie, right? And again, we kind of start off, and it is pretty thin at the start, right? We have a kindergarten teacher getting picked up by her boyfriend, who instead of, going to where people vacation, he's like, I'm a man of nature. We're going to go out to this fucking reservoir that's about to be exploded. And it's like, did you not see Deliverance? That's exactly what Deliverance is about, and how to go for those fucking guys. Very similar. Right? Don't go to reservoirs that are about to become fucking developments of some kind. That's a bad place to be. So he's like, I am this like extra man, right? I will take us out here. It's going to be great. Me and my diving buddies went, blah, blah, blah. As they're driving, we get this kind of, hint of British talk radio over the credits, right? About a leash your kids kind of mentality, right? That if your kid goes out in the world and fucks something up, you should be legally responsible for that. Which, by the way, I just assumed was the system we already had. Like, I don't know if this is a thing. Like, were you taken off by that? Because I was like, wait, if I went out as a teenager and fucking smashed someone's car, I assumed my parents were on the hook for that. But in Britain, apparently, this is not a thing. They just have hoodlum teenagers running around.
Well, I think the other thing about this too is, so this is also loosely part of, I didn't know anything about this, by the way, but this is apparently like in the late 2000s, this was like part of this overall thing that was going on in Britain that the Conservative Party was pushing called Broken Britain. I had no idea until I was reading about it.
We only get like the spattering of it, but yeah.
Yeah, like it's just like, it's basically, there's like 10 or so movies that essentially respond to this concept of like the Conservative Party in Britain basically was like, oh, there's this moral decay, like society's crumbling. So basically like every 2 years in America, they did this like once, and then they're like, oh, that's not true at all. Never mind. I think we're okay. And they're like, well, you're not, but what are you going to do about it right now? We do this a lot in America. We're just like, oh, the kids aren't all right. I'm like, yeah, we know the kids aren't all right. There's nothing we can do about it.
It's always weird because, again, I think it's one of those shocking that people that don't have the money and income and free time to just be helicopter parents, sometimes their kids have additional struggles. Wow, shocker how that works. Whereas rich people seem to be able to hire enough help to make this work out.
And even
it
then,
is though, because like working in a school, I was like, there are just some kids where you're like, man, if your dad was right in front of me right now, I'd probably take a swing on him. You've made me so fucking mad.
I'll tell you,
It's tough.
it was a fascinating thing. I'll say this about the ending. And this is sort of, again, like, this is sort of the fascinating thing. I was more expecting Jack O'Connell's parents to be, like, rich, not paying attention to their kidsness.
Oh, see, so I think the waiter threw me at the start.
Yeah.
But again, I've seen this multiple times. It's hard to go back to that first one.
I was expecting
will say,
them to be
at
like,
the end, I did not expect to do, because this is like an 88-minute, like, fucking missile of a movie.
Yeah, it's pretty tight, yeah.
I did not expect to get sent to the lobby like, it's actually never going to get better. Ooh.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Everybody's, yeah. That's,
Oh.
like, you in the movie, like, everybody sucks, and they're still gonna suck. Ooh.
yeah, and you're like, yeah, well, I know. That's why I come to the movies, to forget about that and feel better. Jesus Christ. I hate being in the movie with, like, rambunctious teenagers, period. Now I have to imagine them gutting me on their fucking Nokia. This is insane.
Watching this movie, I was just like, oh, God, I hate being right about people. God damn it. Like,
Well,
it
it is, because the movie starts off
spend
and
your
it's
life
kind of
hating people.
Yeah, it's kind of this goofball, like, the horror of young, hot people, like, watching parents deal with their kids and being like, woof, that is out of control. These kids are loud. They're all screaming, right? They're trying to go to bed and get it on, and they just hear, like, this other couple arguing and kids screaming. They're like, God, isn't it their bedtime? Jesus.
Yeah.
They watch a mom just smack the shit out of this kid. After he jokingly is mid-sentence like, someone needs to smack that kid, and they see it in real life, and they're like, ooh, that's not
I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, that's not okay. It sounded cool in my head, like when I see it in real life.
It's not nearly as cool as I thought it was going to be.
When she looks at me like she's challenging me to ritual combat and her son runs away crying, I actually don't love this. So it's kind of just this horror of young hot people that are like, why is the world not here just for me to enjoy? So they go out, and he makes kind of the classic, like, movie dipshit guy mistake, right? Which is, yes, this is blocked off to the public. Yes, we're not supposed to be here. It's okay if I'm here, right? It's the classic, but not me. This doesn't mean I can't be there. So they keep driving deep, deep, deep into the woods, right? They're off-roading. They're having fun. They go find this little idyllic spot that's going to get flooded, right? And they're there hanging out, and it seems nice, whatever. Well, all of a sudden, these fucking teenagers show up, right? There's this dog that wakes them up from a nap, like right in their fucking shit, screaming, barking. It doesn't attack them, but it's like a big, scary fucking dog, right? That
of course.
You're kind of like, Jesus Christ, if this thing attacked me, I would probably be fucked. And the kids are blasting their music. He's calling the dog over, but it keeps running over. So Fassbender's getting mad. The dog takes a dump on the beach, right? The kids are blasting music. And I thought about it because there's this interesting moment when he's like, hey, you should go tell the parents to shut up when they're trying to bang in the hotel. And she goes, what are you, a mouse or a man? So this guy goes out for a swim, which is just insane to leave your girlfriend alone on the beach with these fucking characters. He goes out for a swim and sees that this is still becoming a thing, right? The dog's like snarfing all over or whatever. He comes back on the beach and has this classic. He looks back to her. She looks at him. He looks to the teens. He looks back at her and she looks at him. And he's like, all right, it's go time. And I was like, dude, like, brother.
You were going to lose this.
So I want to walk you through and you tell me exactly where to pop the balloon, right? Because to me, I was like walking up once and saying, hey, man, my girlfriend is very afraid of dogs, right? Could you please not let your dog over there anymore? Hey, and if you could turn down the terrible music, that would be fucking great. And they go, fuck you, you old cunt. You go, yep, I could have seen that coming. Thank you for your time. You walk away. You go somewhere else.
All I can do is ask.
Right? He sits there and he's like, oh, they're making fun of me? Okay, all right. We're going to sit here and take another nap and swim a little bit. And we're going to camp in the exact place where they know where to find us. Like, at what moment do you just think that Michael Fassbender has, like, I'm not to say he deserved it, but like, brother, this is a you problem now. You're the grown-up in the room. You've made a bad choice.
I'm going to tell you, the very beginning of this was when there should have been like, you know what?
You don't think you get at least one, like, hey, come on, kids, can we be cool? Before you realize they are just not into that.
No, I'm going to tell you why. Because that level of shittiness that resides in teenagers, and especially in this movie, but just in general, like, look, you work with kids. I mean, you know that the tenacity children have for being shits is unmatched. I mean, like, It's
I had a
pretty
kindergarten
impressive.
kid piss his pants in my face just to prove a point that I had no control over him.
So, like, again, if you're gonna do a standoff with a fucking kid about their music and them being ruffians, you're probably gonna lose. So, for me,
yes, I
can
don't
ask.
think you're gonna win, but I was like, I think you get one. Like, hey,
You can-
just in case any of you aren't pieces of shit. Like,
you can ask.
could I save this?
Yeah, you can ask. That's fine. Look, I don't think the asking necessarily is a bad thing. You can ask. You should not expect them to acquiesce, and you should be like, you should already be. Here's the thing: Michael Fassbender's character should have asked and already in his head been making an alternative plan. Like, I think we're gonna go here instead. Like,
Yeah.
that's what should have been happening.
This is the
adult
shocking thing I had forgotten. Right? Is one. I do think it's such an interesting thing when you see just people acting like fucking shitheads in public, right?
Yeah.
Talking on speakerphone in public. People just fuck it. I mean, I see shit all the time, like the texting in movies. A new thing I see all the time is people taking selfies in movie theaters, right?
Oh yeah,
Or, like,
that happened.
TikTok shit. It's like they're posting and it's like, but you see shitty behavior.
I didn't know
like,
that was a thing.
Here's a small one. People who order a coffee don't say, hey, can I have milk or cream in it? They pop the coffee lid and then dump hot liquid into a trash can that has a trash bag that some poor employee is going to have to pick up, and that bag's going to be melted. That's such shockingly shitty behavior. I was like, if I was the emperor, you would be in a gulag for months for that kind of... Like, I'm not one of these, like... I know how to fix society, but I really, at like a Larry David level, I would have Czar Larry David of the crimes of minorness that I would like, this, we got to fix this at like this level, right?
Yeah.
And so the fact that he sees these young teenagers acting like such absolute fucking monsters.
Mm-hmm.
The thought that when you see people acting bad in public, you're like, you know what's going to fix this? Me making an issue out of it. I don't know that I've ever seen that work anywhere in my life, unless maybe you look like, I don't know, Prime Lou Ferrigno, and they're just like, this guy's gonna fucking twist my melon off, right? Like, does it ever work to the person who's acting shitty to then throw fuel on the fire? Because that's what that person is living for. Their public behavior is them praying for people to give them attention.
Again, it's again, teenagers with groups. That's what that is. Like, they are
They
waiting.
can't wait to make a joke out of you. Yes.
They're waiting to be given the opening. So the fact that Michael Fassbender was A, too dumb to know that, and B, willing to get into it, like, after the first ask and not coming up with an alternative plan, that's pretty much on him. Like, everything that precedes, a lot of it becomes his problem.
I don't know if you had seen this before. I've seen this multiple times. I
hadn't seen it.
Forgot, because they go to get out the next day, right? They kind of camp. We get these, like, POV shots of someone's watching, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the whole time I just had that Hills Have Eyes line rerunning through my head, right? You came all the way out here to rub your life in my face. So they're out there. They get away with it. Their food's rotten. Whatever. Right? And they're like, we got to go into town. When he goes to back up, they put a fucking bottle under his tire and he gets a flat. And he's like, those little fuckers. And you're like, all right, yeah, that sucks. I, in my brain, always rewrite this movie to they never get away from that lake. Ever. The fact that you had a spare because you're doing good enough, you were able to fix it, right? You got the tire in your car, and you were able to, on a donut or whatever kind of new tire he had, clear the glass and drive back into town for a full English. This is a 100% fucking you problem. At this point, you cannot feel an extraordinary amount of sympathy for grown adults who are making the choices similar to the children. Because he goes in, and then he sees him on the bike, and he's like, you little fuckers. He chases him down in his car, can't get him. He goes to the diner and he talks to the lady and he's like, hey man, are there these kid hoodlums? She's like, oh, are they terrorizing you? And he's like, yeah, actually they got my tire. She's like, not my kids. Well, of course, this rotund woman is one of the parents later in the movie. And I was just like, Fassbender, you've had like 8 chances to fucking knock it off. What were you thinking, Alex? As he sees all their bikes in front of the house and he's like, why don't I throw in a little B&E?
Yeah, like, again.
That's the scene in the movie. I was like, whatever happens to this guy.
Yeah. I think that's sort of the problem I have with the movie in general is just there's no because like especially because the way that the movie ends, like we get through this movie and like no one's absolved of anything. Everyone essentially is an instigator.
Yeah.
But I think this is the real problem I have. Michael Fassbender like escalates the whole thing. Like you just need to leave. Just go.
Yeah.
Go home.
Again, it is as much his fault as any other characters in the movie.
Go to a fucking hotel. Just go to a hotel. Like, go to a hotel. Go somewhere else altogether. Like, who cares? Like, don't escalate it by
also not to be
insulting
a prick.
These.
Yeah, this didn't look like the beach from the movie The Beach. Like,
it's
what are we doing?
Yeah, it's not like you're not in Thailand off Koh Samui.
It's like a
get the fuck
pond
out of
in the middle of a forest. They got to have that shit everywhere in Britain.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, like I'm gonna say, like, yeah, that's the other problem is just listen. The English countryside, there's Pride and Prejudice.
Go up to the Lake District.
Everywhere.
Get the fuck out of there. Yeah,
get out of here. Just take her anywhere else. Leave these kids alone. Then here's the thing: if they had just gone back to their camping spot or their like lake area and been like, oh yeah, we're gonna hang out here. All right, like yeah, you shouldn't do that, but at least you're not bothering anyone. Breaking into a house. That's
insane. For what? Like a tire here is like you can get a tire for like $100. Not a good one, but like you could get a tire for $100. You're gonna walk into someone's fucking house that has a dog that fucking big.
Breaking into a house
tire.
Fassbender breaking into the house is like this morally inferior thing that happens that you're at the point where you're like. Something bad is going to happen to this guy. I'm not going to feel bad about it.
I'll give you this because I do think this movie's not that ajar for me as it feels like it is for you. Right? Because I was like, this is the classic. Like, we have an onslaught of this kind of content and media. And I think my age in the Midwest, I'm getting a lot of this like, hey, are you a Republican yet? And you're like, nope, gross, I hate this. But it's a lot of this like alpha male shit, right? Like, men used to be men. Men should do this. Men... I saw a guy the other day. He's like, if you let your wife drive the car, why are you even a man? What's wrong with you? I was like, what the fuck does that have to do? Like, we're not doing heist, right? Like, I'm doing emails on my phone. Like, what the fuck? But it's like, yeah, you can't do this. You got to do this. You never get sleep. Only eat fucking raw animal, right? We have this real crisis of a generation of us that just don't do manly shit like our parents, right? Like, we're not woodworking, we're not building our own homes, and there are men who have not figured out how to digest this fact yet. And so there's this reverse. Like I just saw The Surfer with Nick Cage in theaters.
Yeah.
And it's fucking awesome. And it's exactly like this, right? Which is what happens to these men that are like, things aren't working out for me. It's not my fault. It's because I'm not savage enough. And Fassbender feels like one of those characters that had he survived 12 years from now would definitely be an influencer on a beach somewhere. And he's like, today I cut out an oyster from the heart of the sea itself and ate it without any sanitation, whatever. This is how men live. Right? Like, Fassbender feels like one of those corporate bros who's going to get captured by that mind.
You know what? Actually, I think he would... I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I think he would have seen that and not been able to hang. And instead, he would have turned into one of those male Karens who, like, gets up on a plane and he goes, my name is Alex Dandino. Do you see what I'm doing here?
I think those are sister arts. Those are sister crafts, right?
Oh,
there.
Interesting. Okay, you think those are congruent things?
Yeah, because I think the one is like I had to turn myself into a web. Like it's like a Joe Rogan thing he always says on his pod, which is it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And I was like, hey, Joe Rogan, you've never been to fucking Joe, they didn't let you into the army because you're fucking 4'10". What are we talking about here?
Joe Rogan, the stand-up comedian, said this.
Yeah. The guy from News Radio who just sits in Austin and does ice baths, but all of a sudden he's like, yes, I'm a kid. And I'm like, yeah, I know you can like kick bags really hard and like you're good at fighting. That's not war. But there is a group of these men. Like I used to do Brazilian jiu-jitsu a lot. It's funny how many guys get really lost in this. Like, you never know when I'll be called to like strangle someone. And I was like, in public, in life? And they're like, you never know when you'll have to defend yourself. And I'm like, I've been here a long time and drink a shitload. Almost never. Like, anytime I was in a fight, Like, that could have been avoided, right? Like, but some guys really latch onto this. And I think Fassbender in that moment, there's a level of him entering that house, which is reasserting, I am a man. I will not be fucking made fun of. I will not have you walk by my wife with your cock out, sir. Right? Yeah, I didn't do anything in the moment because I'm a puss, but I want to make a deal of it now. You waved your cock at my fiance and fucking popped my tire.
I think there's a level of toxic masculinity that obviously runs through the entire movie. Like, all the male characters have some version of that, like, horrifying character. Again, like, here. This is the only thing I'll say about in regards to the Rogan and that whole concept of like, oh, you're not a real man. I'm like, listen, if you have trouble defining masculinity for yourself, if you need to define masculinity,
that's trick.
Your problem. That's
if you
your
feel
problem.
like you need a definition of what masculine is, I feel like
you're down a rocky road. Like, that's your problem.
Not to talk shit on Joe, I think his pod's been good for a while, but it's like, this is the problem of the man who is barely 5 feet tall. Like, Joe Rogan tells people he's 5'10". He's like 5'4". Like, that to me immediately is like, you're not someone I can take. It's like Trump saying he's 225. It's like, you're not Butch. If you're lying about your fucking weight and height, like, that's pitiful. And again, this whole, like, because we do a recreational combat sport where we learn to choke people, yeah, maybe you could kill me. That doesn't make you Rambo. No. Like, you go do jujitsu in a strip mall. What are we talking about?
This is that Neil Brennan joke he did about like the gun control issue. He's like, I don't buy either side's argument. But this is like the Neil Brennan joke where he was like, yeah, I guess I'll just take a drone and I have like 10 Hellfire missiles and I'm just gonna press this button here. Like, you're like, yeah, like, it doesn't matter. Like, there's always something worse that will kill you. Like, your ability to strangle me does not stand up against a machine gun.
Right. And this is why we have to debate 100 men versus a gorilla, because we as men are broken, damaged things. Yeah, like, and this is what leads Fassbender back to. So not only has he had all this shit, he has a peony, and he's like, we got to get out of here. He makes a narrow escape. Why, in the name of all that is holy, would you ever go back to that tent? I'd be like, you know what?
Fuck home.
Yeah, we're out $200 because we're not going back for the tent and the cooler full of rotten food. We're going home. I don't know. Do British people have fun shit to do? Like, do they have their version of Kings Island or whatever? Go do something as lame as that. I don't care. Go to a British Disney.
Get on the train. Get on the train. Go to fucking, go to Disneyland Paris or something. Like, guys. Yeah. There's stuff
Go to the Lake District. Go to, like, these little pre-made tourist spots. You're not that guy, pal. Him going back out there is the most utterly insane thing in the movie. When the kids steal his car, you're like, you're daring them at this point. Like, if you're in a dick measuring contest with a teenager who is willing to pull his literal dick out at you, you're not going to win. Of course they're going to steal his car and do a joyride. Of course they are. And when they do, this is your punishment for not going to the police to report your pop tire.
Just
instead being like, I will Matlock this myself.
You haven't done anything before the B&E. It's like, you haven't done anything illegal yet. Why don't you just tell the cops that these people are bothering you? Like,
yeah, which I'm sure that they are just inundated with fucking complaints about what do you think happens when all these rich motherfuckers move into that lake and Jack O'Connell and them don't have a place to go fucking let their dog shit?
Also, like
they're going to want these kids swept up immediately.
Also, like, this is a small, idyllic town. Like, I saw Hot Fuzz. The cops don't do anything. Like, just call them. They're bored.
Or they do a lot of shit, and it's all fucking nefarious cult behavior. Yeah.
Well, perhaps.
It's either or. There's only two kind of British cops.
I'm assuming not, because that was a action adventure fantasy.
Wait, do British people like their cops, or do they hate their cops like we do?
Do we have British fans? I feel like we have one.
No, we have a couple listeners from across the pod, yeah.
Oh, I would ask
spread
that.
out. We've got like a Swedish listener who's on it a lot, which is good.
Yeah, I would ask our British listeners, do British people like cops? Because, I mean, like, my assumption is nobody likes cops.
Well, like, let me put it this way. In America, what we do is everyone's like, fuck the cops. The cops suck. And then some guy will be like,
the cops.
Yeah, and then some guy will be like, but not all of them. And you're like, yes, Rick, we understand not all of them, but the vast majority of what the cops do seems like they fucking suck. Like, why do they just park out to give me a ticket when 4 guys drove past me going 110 miles an hour? Yeah. You never see those cars pulled over, Rick. That's the problem. That's the fucking problem with the systemic racism and the murders. That's also the problem, Rick. Why are we talking about this in a BW3? That's how we do it in America. That was a small skit for our across the pond listeners.
So
don't British cops just carry like sticks and tasers?
Yeah, there's no guns.
No wonder they have teenagers running rampant. I just fucking ride my bike away from some fucking portly middle-aged man.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think there's either way. I don't.
What's he doing? Hey, get back here so I can club you.
There's just, anyways, there's just so much like poor decision making from an adult that when things actually escalate to like when eventually they corner these people and the dog gets killed, you're like, this feels like it was highly
avoidable. My son Hunter watched this with me, which I immediately was like, this may be a bit hardcore, but we went and saw a clown in a cornfield, and he's like, hey, can I stay up and just watch a movie with you? I was like, this next one's not going to be soothing. It's also a pretty intense thing. He's like, no problem. No problem. He's like, nothing scarier than the Golden State Warriors offense we just watched. And I was like, nice, kid, let's go. And then we watched Eden Lake, and he was kind of like in shock watching it, like, holy shit. He's like, kids can kill grown-ups. And I was like, I've made a huge mistake. I've set myself up.
Yeah, you've signed your own death warrant.
Yeah. I live in Indiana. It's going to be a real children of the corn scenario here. But he was just stunned. And like, he just looked at me at that part of the movie was one of the only responses I got. And he just goes, I don't like when they do that to dogs in movies. And I go, me too. It feels kind of cheap, right? Like, it feels kind of cheap.
It is.
Yeah, so this leads to they kill the dog. He gets the keys. Of course, they fucking crash and get stuck in the mud. And then it's just like, this is literally all hell breaks loose moment. Jack O'Connell, essentially, they capture Fassbender. Kelly Reilly comes back to kind of watch, and she sees as essentially the movie really gets started in earnest when Jack O'Connell's like, all of you, because they're like, well, you did it, we're leaving. And he's like, nope, now you're all going to take turns stabbing him on this, what I'm sure you remember was crystal clear, high-quality video that would totally stand up in the court of law of you stabbing Fassbender, right? And if you do that, then we'll all be cool. We'll kill her, we'll capture her and get her too, and then all of a sudden, like, there's no evidence. I'm sure this will all be fun. There is a bit of a disconnect in this movie, right? Because we watched it, and as they stab Fassbender, you're like, holy shit, this is, like, intense, right? This is fucking awesome. Like, what a moment these characters have to face. The little pudgy kid from This Is England, he gets pulled out, and he has to do it, and he kind of stabs him, like, in the mouth, which is fucking wild. Well, then Kelly Reilly gets on the run. I would say from that moment on, it doesn't feel like we're making interesting character choices as much as we're just paying off carnage. So it's cat and mouse. It's like the stepping on the spike. It's the getting in the, like, I don't know what kind of trash you guys have in the UK, but that looked like just diarrhea bucket. Which, again, you're like, I'm not getting in there because I have a giant hole in my foot, so I'm going to 100% die of an infection anyways. I'm just going to do that before I die of horrifyingly painful infection. But neither here nor there. We're kind of just paying... There's two moments, I would say, in the second part of this where we pay off some kind of emotional beat, right? One is that he was going to pop the question to her and say, you never know what you find at the bottom of a lake. The proposal gets interrupted by these kids. Thank God she was marrying a child. She was about to marry a child in the form of a man with a really nice penis, which we saw in another movie. So I guess you get away with that if that's your thing. At the end, when he's like, this was my vacation. It doesn't matter as long as I'm with you. I'm even asked my old man. You're like, that's pretty sweet. Like, she puts the ring on in front of him.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet, right? I did enjoy that. The moment in this where it's really stunning beyond just kind of like torture porn is when the little kid narcs her out. The little kid who they saw get bullied, that they were kind to at the start of the movie, he drags her to the fucking kill floor. And he's like, yeah, my mom picks me up here. She's like, out here? And he's like, yeah, playing my game. And she's like, give me the phone, you little fucker. And then Jack O'Connell says some kind of weird fucking, like, rhyme that feels super racist.
I don't know.
What did you make of this kid's fucking turning? Because I think that he is the true innocent of this movie, him and Kelly Reilly.
We're
Well, I guess
talking about we're talking about Adam, right? The
little kid with the glasses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is one of those, like, these two, like, even Kelly Reilly has let Fassbender go far enough. They're like, you're kind of in on this now. You should make better choices. This kid is just fucking bullied and bullied and bullied. And these people probably saw him and said, hey, we're going to fuck you up unless you help us catch this fucking mysterious lady. Do you blame this kid? What do you make of this?
I don't think... I don't know, honestly. Like, the moral compass of this movie is so shifted in the wrong direction by this point that I'm just like, I'm assuming everybody has some like, I'm assuming maybe he didn't, kill anybody today, but maybe like hit a dog or something like that. I don't know. Like, it's such a hard thing to watch this movie and try to rationalize behavior past like Michael Fassbender breaking into a house, because then
I think what you get into is it's just the real
point,
us versus you.
Well, it's like you were saying though, is like paying off Carnage essentially becomes the theme of the movie until the end, and you're just like, all right, like you're just sort of. I think this is the problem I have with movies like this, and this is really the issue I had with Eden Lake. Not that it's a bad movie, because it is a real tight flick. I think the problem is it's just there's no real struggle here. Like there's no I don't feel any moral ambiguity towards really anybody. Obviously, like Adam being the one innocent, right. I'd be like, yeah, that's not great. Like
what happens to him is fucking horrible.
That's fucking horrible, and yeah, like there's no one deserves anything like that.
Yeah.
I think for me though, it ends up just sort of being this thing where I'm just like, I don't like movies that make me think, oh, all right, let's just run out the clock here, I guess. Because for a while, the movie was actually interesting, and it became this, it was like the cat and mouse wasn't even a bad cat and mouse, but it stopped being cat and mouse, and it was just like, all right, I guess we'll just follow the mouse around for a while. And then,
well, we're doing a lot more of this. Let's stab something through her foot and push it on a log. Let's put her in a fecal bucket. Like, yeah. It's 2008. Like the torture porn aesthetic has dominated horror.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of this, because this movie, if it has a problem to me, is that as we just get into that's why, again, the Lord of the Flies thing, right? That's the last section of the book when it breaks so bad. One kid pushes a rock, Piggy gets it, and then it's like, well, okay, I guess they're bad. You see this like mind virus of how they're like, oh, they're part of the monster on the hill. You see how scared children can rewrite this tale, right? The kids in this movie are not young enough for that to be true, and the adults certainly aren't. So then what we do is a movie where Kelly Reilly, at about 5 different points, seems to have a hiding spot where these kids that we see are absolute fucking morons. We see later that their parents seem like absolute fucking morons. They're not going to find her. Right? Like, this is the classic, she gets on, somehow she fucking Spider-Man's on top of that fucking construction trailer, and one of the dumbest moments in the movie, never leave. Lay right there and take a fucking nap until those guys show up for work on Monday.
Until we get to the house, like, basically, like, this is the other problem I have is, as soon as, like, she gets picked up by the guy who mysteriously is the older brother and all this other shit, and you're just like,
yeah,
guys,
we forgot. Not only does she steal a car from one of their brothers, we just give her 2 actual children murders.
Yeah.
So that I guess we can play a card where this is, I don't know, tit for tat, because I was like, no, they're worse. What they did to Adam specifically means that they're the worst.
They're terrible.
And as Jack O'Connell's dancing around like, look at him burn, you did it, not me. And I was like, this kid's such a fucking idiot and a serial killer.
That's sort of like the part that bothers me the most about.
Well, because they play the beat. She stabs the kid who's like trying to be kind to her. It seems like he's like, hey, miss, I'm sorry. This got out of control. It's like, well, you just lit her dead fiance's body on fire, maybe. And then she stabs him. She's like, no. And I was like, what? Why is she crying? This kid deserves it. Like, they're not just kids, as the movie says. I don't know. It felt odd to just add 2 child murders to her tab.
It's not good. like I have to be honest. Like she ends up killing two people. Goes into this house. Like she ends up killing two people. She goes into this house party where all these adults are trying to absolve themselves of any responsibility.
Yeah,
And
like her body shuts down and she crashes into their front yard.
I think by that time I was just like, I know what's coming. Like the inevitability is that these people.
Well, they did a good job casting because one of the ladies in there, like when she wakes up on that couch,
looks
exactly like the girl Paige that we see get run over. Like exactly the fucking same. If they're not actually related, I would be shocked because it looked like they just got put in a taffy stretching machine. You kind of know. You see his dad is there. You see the Bonnie and Clyde bulls. And you're like, yeah, the kind of people that would name their dogs after famous criminals in America. Like, maybe bad influences. This guy loves to hit his kid. Like, it seems very recreational for him.
Yeah.
And Jack O'Connell, like, she's in the bathroom. They kick the door open. And they're just like, yeah, he told us about your fricky-ass boyfriend. And I do think this moment is quasi-interesting because it asks us, this is the thing the movie was giving us at the start. What responsibility is it of these kids? If your parents suck this much, if your parents are willing to kill someone and leave a dead body in the backyard and then go pick up other dead bodies and cover that up, if your parents are that bad, how much can we blame Jack O'Connell for playing this out? Right? When what point does the scarred and traumatized child who pushes that trauma back out into the world, when does that stop being the damaged child versus like this is an adult who's fucked up?
Yeah.
And I think it's somewhere in this movie. But even at the end, as Jack O'Connell is like sitting there with his cheek fucking red from his dad smacking him, like, oh, my dad and all his friends are murdering and hopefully nothing else, a lady in the thing that I specifically did.
Puts on the sunglasses, deletes the videos, and you're like, okay, well, so this young man has learned nothing, and other than how to get away with something. And also, we've learned that these parents are terrible, and like, I think for me, the thing that bothers me the most about it is honestly, like, again, it goes back to the parenting thing. Like, I think there's something about this part that bothers me the most, and it's, look, I get Andrea a lot of the time, like when Henry's gotten in trouble at school a couple of times, and my instinct is to be like, dude, what did he do? And Andrea was like, well, it's not always him. And I was like, I don't care. Like, here's the thing. Yeah. I only can control my child. Like, I can't control other people's kids. Yeah. What I can do is control my kid not being an asshole. So the only person I can really like have a conversation with
you can only control the way you react to things, not what shit you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah. So, like, I'm going to deal with my kid, but I'm not going to beat him or anything like that. But it's one of those things where, like, if you're going to get in trouble at school.
Dad, are you putting your boxing glove on again? That was a 3.5 rounds penalty, child. It's like, no.
But it's like, I can only control what my kid does. So I have to be the person who tells my kid, hey, don't engage in behavior like that. That's not okay.
Here's a wild thing.
It's this kind of thing where parents are like, oh, it's clearly the adults.
How much longer do you think you can even control your child and what they do?
Not much longer. I guess control is not the right word. All I can do is, like you were saying, control how I respond to the situation and what I'm not going to do.
Yeah, you have this period as a parent where you're trying to teach your kid, this is what's worth it, this is what not. Here's the out-of-bound things, right? You're trying to give them a context and a framework with which to make better choices in their life. Knowing full well they're going to be teenagers who are hormonal monsters who will hate you, knowing they're going to get drunk for the first time, knowing they're going to do this shit, and just praying you've given them enough scaffolding to not make a catastrophic mistake.
Yeah.
That's about it, man. At a point, because that's the thing about the house party ending that kind of sat with me today. Those people are having a fucking party. None of them have seen their children for over 24 hours.
Yeah.
And that is in no way, shape, or form concerning to them.
Yeah. And I think that, again.
And how old do you think these kids are supposed to be? Because they're on bikes.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they're supposed to be under 16, even
like
though
13 to 16? something
maybe.
in that.
Like, none of them have a vehicle, so like I would say it's probably between 13 and 15, maybe. I don't know. Don't know what it takes to get a driver's license in the UK, so I could be wrong.
We learned that their cops have sticks, and that's it. That's all we know about the UK. That's it. We don't know anything.
I legitimately, again, once it gets to the parents, you are just at that point where you're like, well, I now know who to blame for this, because it's these people who don't give a shit about their kids and don't care if the kids are all right. They're just, oh, we got a party in the woods. Like, relax. Like, go fuck off for like an hour.
Yeah.
And they're just
Well, it's haunting to watch Paige's mom just, they're only kids. And it's like, to their parents, maybe, if you do the crimes out of sight, out of mind, right? You're like these families that the town picks on and thinks are undesirable. So maybe you believe your kids more than the people who constantly are telling you they suck, because then that's on you. There is an interesting, like, hauntingness to the ending. Again, it's that fucking disgusting 2000 to 2010 era horror movie that just really went for, like, repulsion more often than storytelling, I think. I wouldn't lump Eden Lake in with a lot of those torture porn ones, because I think there is a lot of good storytelling in this one. Like watching Jack O'Connell, who's so fucking good, when he went full ferocious and beat his friend's ass because his friend was trying to call someone, and he stomps his ass out, and he has this thing where he's like, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. And he's like repeating because he has to stay in motion. Because I was looking at Jack O'Connell, I was like, what a tiny little kid. Like, just fucking take the keys, do this. When he turned and he went ferocious, he captured something, and I was like, there are, like, the high school bully at my school was like a tiny guy. But there's something about guys that I might win now, but they're going to show up to my house later with a baseball bat, and I'll be crippled or dead forever. Right? Like, Jack O'Connell captures that, like, fully unchained thing that some people have and the rest of us don't.
I also think, I think the fully unchained thing also is that once you see the house he grew up in, like the people that raised him, there's also a, like, because for me that scene too had a lot more fear packed into it than anything. Is like, oh shit, like he's scared to get caught.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, like, there's like that repetition where he's like, put it away, put it away, put it away. You're like, there's something about that is based in fear rather than just like, I'm angry.
Yes, but I also think it's based in, and I think that last shot when he looks in the mirror, that's a moment for us to watch him. He doesn't want to be like his loser dad who just hits kids. And yeah, he'll do this. He has this code of like, we take care of our own. But he's like, my dad's still like a loser who has like a plumbing job, whatever he does, right? He doesn't seem to respect his dad. Even though his dad like pays the bills, they have a nice enough home, whatever. I think in the final thing when he puts those aviators on, he's like, oh, I can do something with this. Like, he's writing he is now a criminal outlaw. And I think part of him killing that kid is him saying, how fucking far can I push this, right? Because he's looking at that little kid dead. The guy's like, it's your fault. And he just kind of is like, okay, can I do this? Can I do this? Yes, I can burn up the fucking kid that I always bully because I don't see him as a human being. Yes, I can kill these strangers because they killed my dog. He has all these slights. And he keeps saying that you did it, not me. That was the moment where now it's his fucking turn. And does he have it in him? And I think what happens with this kid is that there's a trail of bodies coming after this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, that's what this taught him, is that, yes, the world might not want you. The rich people, because when they drive in, right, there's that nice Eden Lake sign. It's going to be a rich person development. There's a fuck off, some kind of British word under it. Yeah. They're getting displaced, right? There's all these kind of paranoias in this. He's not going to take it anymore. You can't do what he did, and then all of a sudden you're going to, like, fall in line. Yeah. Right? Like, he realized what he is capable of. Things that grown men are not capable of. And I don't know, I find this movie really fascinating. I love movies that take place on this just outside the border of our society. What actually fucking matters? And this is where maybe the short guys who love jujitsu are right. Like, maybe if you're in the woods and a dog poops next to you and you're fucking Joe Rogan, you can just tap out 5 teenagers. and you will have a better life. I don't know.
But
I like the idea of a non-jujitsu empowered Lord of the Flies setup.
I generally like moral ambiguity. Like, I think the problem I have with this movie is the moral compass lacks a lot of true north.
Well,
So,
I
like,
think it's
for
just
me,
one of those Michael Fassbender is wrong. Like, he's just the one who's wrong.
yes, I agree. And I think because he's wrong, everything preceding him is wrong after that. Everything was avoidable, and I think that's the problem that I have with the movie is, like, because everything is so avoidable, you get to the end and you're just like, dude, you could have, like, saved this. What's the matter with you?
Well, I think the movie does a good job of painting a certain picture of a person who doesn't want to let it slide, who's on his radio drive listening to this, the kids are not all right kind of shit. He is a character who does not want to just let it be.
Right.
You know, he has this thing, I won't be talked down to, I won't be this, I won't be that. And again, I think a lot of the best story, like, it's, to me, I always think of, like, Curb Your Enthusiasm, right? Where it's such an episode where it's like, Larry, just shut the fuck up. Like, does it matter that this person's doing this or that? No. And what we all love about Larry David is that he's the guy who always, every single time, I'm not letting that stand. I will give my day and my hour to fighting this fight right now, because none of us do that. Right. None of us want to live in a world where we're like, I am the fucking lamest Marvel character. I'm the defender of norms, right? Like, no one wants to be that guy. But when Larry does it, we're like, yes. What really happens if you're Larry is this.
Fucking ass kicked.
You get fucking stomped, dude. Bad. You get beat the fuck down. And it's that classic what happened, because Fassbender has that line, right? Where he's like, I'm going to go do this. And Fassbender just goes, hey, if no one ever said anything, what kind of society would that be? And the answer might be, we're already living in it, bud.
Happier?
Like, we're already there. Because none of us want to get fucking maimed by teenagers.
Yeah.
It is what happens when good people do nothing. And what happens when the movie tells us a guy's a good guy, but really he's a cunt. Eden Lake. That's what happens. All right, Alex. What's the most messed up moment in Eden Lake?
I mean, beyond killing a dog, burning that little kid is horrible.
Yeah, Adam getting the tire necklace, because Adam, through threats and coercion and, hey, we'll stop bullying you, you can join our gang, he lures this poor innocent kindergarten teacher to the kill floor. They tie her up on a pyre next to her dead husband's body, or soon-to-be fiance, cover them in gas. She sits next to him and smells his body burning. And the ropes break and she gets out, right? And they go, if you don't come back and, tie yourself to the fire again, I don't know what their fucking plan is, we're going to light Adam on fire. Yeah. And this kindergarten teacher's on the hill and she goes, yeah, fuck him, and keeps running. And they have a cutaway in there, Alex, where we look down over the trees and we just see Adam doing like the 80s robot dance with his head on fire.
It's horrible.
It is one of the most horrifying things I've seen in a movie.
Beyond, like, if it was just a dog getting killed, that would definitely be it. But, like, watching a little innocent child get burned alive is fucking nasty.
Yeah, Michael Fassbender Michael Fassbender fucked around and found out. This is a kid who's like, this could be my one chance to not get fucking bullied every single day so I can find caterpillars. And he's just naive enough to think it's going to be okay. And watching those kids immediately turn on him and just destroy him like he's nothing, when he is not a part of the journey of this movie we're watching. He is true innocent collateral damage who made one really bad choice. Which, you know what? A lot of kids make really bad fucking choices. That one is nasty. Brutal. Yeah, I honestly have so little sympathy for the grown-ups in this movie.
Nope.
But Adam...
All of them are assholes, but Adam was an innocent.
He could have been. That's it for Eden Lake. We hope you enjoyed it. I guess that's a weird way to say. I hope you enjoyed pondering what this movie was pondering.
There we go.
Hey, we just said it's summer beaches. We didn't say it'd be easy and comfortable. Sometimes it's hot and sweaty and covered in liquid fecal trash. That's just what happens on vacays. So we'll see you guys soon. We're working on filmmaker interviews. We got lots of awesome stuff. over on the Patreon, Messed Up Movies Podcast Patreon. Go support the show there. Best way to support the show, grow the show, help author what the voice of this show is. You can do that with us. We're on all the socials, sharing Instagram, TikTok, Reel, whatever, with someone you know who loves movies. 5-star ratings and reviews. Misfit Parade YouTube, subscribe there, misfitparade.com, so you can follow the journey of us to get our first feature film made, Mr. Cream Jeans Hidey Hole. We'll probably be hard at work shooting it when this episode drops, because we're doing this in the distant past. So yeah, anything you guys can do to help the show, we appreciate it. More than anything, thanks for spending time with us.
Love you. Bye.